In a world where the marks think they know better than the wrestlers and the bookers, the Fantasy Booking Institute exists to pretty much do exactly that. This is a visit from the FBI. Welcome to another episode of A Visit from the FBI. I, as always, am your host, Detective Mark Smarks, and I'm joined, as always, by my partner in crime, fighting District Attorney Vincent K. Fabe. Yeah, Fabe, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good, man. How's things with you?
Well, I'm doing a little bit better. My voice is mostly back, so
Mostly back, correct.
yeah, so that's good.
Kind of missing our witness tonight.
Yeah, we're doing it old school, just back to the two of us. Justin not able to building castles in the sky, just the two of us. Anyways, but since I've got my, what was that?
What just happened here? And it's my fault.
But we're back to the old way, back to the old school. So for anyone who's new listening to this, I always like to give a brief rundown of how this goes. This is the Fantasy Booking Institute. What we do is we challenge each other to book something that most likely won't ever actually happen. And so it allows us to stretch our creative muscle and have a little bit of fun. We don't discuss what we're going to challenge each other in advance, so our answers are entirely impromptu, and that's part of the fun. Last week, I had basically no voice, so we kind of broke the main format, and I just challenged the two of you guys to do all the stuff and sat back and listened. But this week, it's just the two of us now, so back to the old way. But since I did all of the challenging last week, I'm going to go ahead and let D.A. Fabe start off this week. D.A. Fabe, what you got for me?
Oh, brother. I think this one might be kind of good. I don't know. It might be legit and telling of the future, but I feel like we're headed toward a certain female competitor returning soon. And I feel like soon we will have the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen feud that so many people have wanted for so very, very long. So I want you to book Rhonda's Return.
Oh, Rhonda's Return.
I didn't think that was that mean. You sounded like it was mean.
No, it's not mean. It's just like, I mean, you know my opinion. She shouldn't return. D.A. Fabe and I are at least alike in this respect. Neither of us were nearly as impressed with Ronda Rousey's run as
everyone else on the planet.
Yeah, apparently we're in the minority. But for me, it's not that she isn't talented, it's that she looked dangerous. And I'm not saying that from a positive standpoint. Like, she looked like I would rather be in the ring with Nia Jax than with she just literally looked like she was going to totally injure people all the time. She didn't look like a safe worker, and I never enjoyed that. Every time she had a match, I was always just a little bit on edge. And I think, judging by the fact that there were a fair amount of people who did go out injured when she was in the ring, not too many specifically blamed on her, but enough to make me think if she didn't play a part in them. So for me, I would rather she not come back. Oddly enough, Shayna Baszler, the less glitzy and glamorous of the two main 4 horsewomen of MMA, is a phenomenal worker and probably my favorite heel female right now in maybe all of professional wrestling, at least all that I've watched. So yeah, how to bring her back? Well, let me think.
She's pretty tough to beat in terms of being a heel, by the way. You're spot on there.
Yeah, Baszler is phenomenal. Because here's the deal: like Baszler walks to the ring, and not only does she feel dangerous in a wrestling way, she looks mean. She looks every bit as dangerous as she plays to be. She looks unstoppable, and even the people who have beat her have then lost to her again. You know, and she just looks unflappable. And maybe some of it, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Some of my problem with Ronda Rousey was they gave her the wrong character. They tried to make her this smiley Stone Cold when they should have made her the angry Stone Cold, if that makes any sense.
I don't think she made Stone Cold at all. I mean, she was a legitimate, what is the appropriate term for this? She called herself the baddest bitch on the planet, so I can say bitch. She was a legitimate bitch when she was in MMA. Just let her be that person. But she can be as excited as she wants to be there. Quit writing a script. Even when they turned her heel, they wrote a crappy Vince McMahon-esque script.
Yep.
You know?
And that, I think, plays directly into the problem. Is they started her off, and I think some of it was her limitations as a performer, because she had been a fan of professional wrestling for so long and went straight to the top of the game, you know, unlike Baszler, who had to go to the beginning, you know, and go to NXT and spend some time on the indies. I found some old work of hers, you know, working on the indies with, you know, Candice LeRae before she was in NXT, and, you know, and so Baszler legitimately paid her dues and worked her way up and learned how to be a character. And Ronda Rousey, they just were like, you're Ronda Rousey, we're going to put you straight to the top. And I think that hurt her. I think it hurt her in-ring skills, and it hurt her character. And so when she came out, she just had that look of the wide-eyed Bambi that is finally living her dream, which she was. A lifelong wrestling fan, finally gets to come out and wrestle on WWE. I mean, I don't blame her for that, but it totally co-opted the image of the baddest woman on the planet, you know? So,
sure.
So for me, if I'm booking her return, and since this is fantasy booking and I don't have to obey the rules of WWE, I'm bringing her back in NXT.
Okay.
And I'm bringing her back to start off as support for the other 3-4 horses. In fact, probably what I would do is I would write a storyline where I'm going to say Jessamine gets kayfabe injured, right? And therefore her tag partner, Marina Shafir, does not have a partner for a match. And so you can build up this whole thing where, you know, she's got a match against a women's tag team of some, you know, we can say Dakota Kai and what's her face? I'm totally blanking on her name. She just came back.
Yeah, Tegan Nox.
Tegan Nox, there we go. It's been a long week. So Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox, Team Kick, are challenging the Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke, but Jessamine Duke gets kayfabe injured, and so we don't know who's going to be Marina Shafir's partner. And so Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai are in the ring, and Marina Shafir comes out to the ring, and it looks like it might be turned into a handicap match because she doesn't have a partner. And then you get the I don't give a damn about my bad reputation, because that Full Sail crowd would absolutely explode at that.
Oh yeah, completely.
And she comes out and she tags with Marina Shafir, and because I think Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox are both popular enough and established enough that they could take a loss without looking, you know, bad out of it, you know. And so she comes in and teams up, and so then you could have a short run as this dominant tag team, and And then you could have Jessamine Duke come back from her injury. And effectively then now you've got a female version of Undisputed Era, kind of running rampant in NXT. And eventually, you have this whole thing where you've got Shayna Baszler as the champion, and then the other three down there. And you have the main roster 4 horsewomen start to, I don't know, maybe be jealous of the success that the women down there are having. You could even have, them win the tag championship, the women's tag. So now you've got the NXT women's champion and then the WWE women's tag champions, both in the 4 horsewomen of MMA. And so at that point, you could have the team up that everyone been wanting leading up to a WrestleMania match: 4 horsewomen of MMA versus 4 horsewomen of WWE.
Fair enough. It'll be interesting because I feel like they're leaning that way right now as we speak to this eventually happen, or this happening sooner than later. So it'll be interesting to see how close you are to that.
Yeah, I think they're having a kind of this constant struggle right now because Ronda Rousey took the time off for hopefully getting pregnant, and all reports have that she has not yet, which a peek behind the curtains to Officer Mark Smark's life, Detective Mark Smark's life. For some people, getting pregnant ain't as easy as it seems for other people. So I think they've been having a struggle there. And whether she comes back to WWE or not, I think hinges a lot on how dedicated they are to this idea of wanting to have that kid, Yeah. If they're really dead set on it, then I don't think she comes back in the near future. But if they decide they want to take a break on trying and research other options, then she might come back for a short run and then leave again. Well,
and I almost think that there's a fear post Sasha that they won't get to do what they wanted to do there.
Mm-hmm.
Post Sasha getting upset a little while back.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, and they really want that storyline so strongly, Vince, once he wants a story, it's going to be that story. I mean, there ain't no getting around that. Vinnie Mac going to do what Vinnie Mac wants to do.
Yeah. So. Now, that being said, I will point out that 3 days ago on Total Divas, Ronda Rousey claimed that she's retired from WWE. But I will also point out that the episode 3 days ago that aired saying she's retired from WWE also was recorded at least 6 months ago. So might not have anything to do with the current climate.
Well, based on the Total Divas episode, number one, I didn't realize you watched Total Divas, so you will be mocked at some future date for that.
I can assure you I do not watch Total Divas. I do, however, pay attention to things like Bleacher Report, Wrestling Incorporated, and E! Online, and all 3 of them actually did reports on Total Divas because they thought it was so newsworthy that Ronda Rousey said she was retired from WWE.
Okay, fair enough.
But once again, like I said...
Like you do research on your show.
Yeah, oh, heaven forbid. But I will also once again point out that the episode where she said that was recorded at least 6 months ago, if not longer. I mean, so many, when they premiered this season of Total Divas, I remembered seeing like clips from the premiere on the advertisement and thinking, oh my goodness, that was before Royal Rumble. That was before, WrestleMania,
Yeah. Yeah, and some of them were. I mean, based on the ads. I mean, I don't watch.
So
anyway, so good booking. I am curious how the Ronda and Shayna Baszler would turn out in terms of, because at that point you're guaranteed to have a turn against each other.
I think that can happen post WrestleMania.
Horseman versus Horseman. Yeah, I would agree.
In fact, this is WWE. You could always write that into the finish of the match, where everything is going good, and Ronda Rousey turns on Shayna Baszler at the end, or maybe doesn't like flat out turn, but doesn't help the win.
I think Shayna turning would actually be a better move.
Yeah, the problem is Shayna turning would feel too much like Shayna turning face. I don't know. I guess Ronda turning would feel like Ronda turning heel. Who knows? I'm hoping, frankly, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, because I think, like we said earlier, you and I are in the minority. I think for the vast majority of people, you put Shayna and Ronda together, it would only hurt Shayna more than it helped Ronda. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the only problem with the said turn is that it would be the only way, I guess, to elevate it is to have, if Shayna did the turn, because she's already heel and the audience is already face on Ronda, sort of, and Shayna did the turn. I think that you can have actually Shayna, Marina Shafir, and Jessamine Duke all do the attack together. Is what my thoughts were when the turn happened, because we stuck it out and bitch left. Yeah.
But anyway, like I said, my real hope is that it doesn't happen.
God bless, we don't know for sure that that's ever going to happen. So, yay.
Well, okay, so we will move on to case number 2. For this one, I'm gonna say it's Survivor Series week. We had the Go Home Raw on Monday. We are recording this on Wednesday. We had the Go Home NXT for both TakeOver and Survivor Series, and then we'll have the Go Home SmackDown Friday. So in the spirit of Survivor Series, I want you to book your dream 5-on-5 Survivor Series match, and the players can be from any promotion. This is your dream,
and have existed at any time. They don't have to, like, is it a dream team day or a dream team ever?
We'll do dream team all time.
Okay. Survivor Series 1995, the Teamsters were going up against what was Jeff Jarrett's team? I don't remember. Anyway, no, I'm not gonna do that because that's too easy.
I was gonna call BS right there anyways. Your dream Survivor Series has not actually happened. Otherwise, you wouldn't still be watching and be excited about Survivor Series.
Oh, no, that my dream football team happened and they won championships and I still watch football.
So you're saying
I'm still a Dolphins fan.
And so you're saying that in the time since that quote unquote dream team, you have never thought,
no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Wouldn't it be better if this person was
there? Wrestlers that have happened since then that I would want in that now.
That's my point.
So is it the dream match or just the one team?
I originally was just gonna do just a team, but I think it makes more fun to do a whole match.
Yeah, so do I. So team captain HBK on one, and it'll be a DX, it'll be a click group, because I just, the click as a whole would be wonderful, without Six, X-Pac, 123 Kid, whatever you want to call him, Sean Waltman. I just don't want him involved, and I really don't want Billy Gunn involved. So it's going to be HBK, Kevin Nash, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. Razor Ramon, or Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash or Diesel, and Triple H, along with China. Yeah. I mean, as much as I'd love to see the Giant in there, or $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase from his NWO time, I just kind of like having the clique as a whole in the ring, like that would be kind of cool for me.
Fair enough.
That's my thoughts. On the other team, I'm gonna have the dream team of all stars, or the anti-click. The God, I would love. It would be really awesome if it was the Click versus BKE.
It's your dream, man.
In terms of a Survivor Series match, how cool would that be? Now, I'm not gonna just spend all my entire talking about that because I want the Rock in one. But I would probably put that would be so cool to see Undertaker, Yoko, God, who else was part of BKE? Tatanka. I probably wouldn't include him though. IRS would be in there. I'm trying to think of who else was part of BKE. Anyway, that whole the BKE putting it together against the Click would be really entertaining. It's not what I would do though. So my second team, and more of an all-star setup, would be The Rock. Would be Bret the Hitman Hart, just because of his rivalry with HBK. This is where it gets a little tougher. I feel like there has to be an Intercontinental Champion type guy who's only known for his Intercontinental Championships, never his championships. Chris Jericho. I can go across lines.
Mm-hmm.
Sting, and we had a woman in one, so we probably ought to have a woman in the other. And I am going to go with... I'm trying to decide if I want to do this or not. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do Awesome Kong. I.E. Yeah, and yes, there were several other women I wanted to choose, but to go up against China, I want Awesome Kong.
Yeah, match never happened.
Nope. Maybe in the future.
Future of a video game.
That's the only way it can.
Yeah.
I feel like that might have even been able to be considered insensitive. I mean, I'm okay with it being insensitive, but I feel like that maybe was insensitive for me to say that. Anyway, so those are my teams. Do I book the actual match?
You don't have to necessarily book the whole match, but I don't know. Give an idea who you think would win.
There's just as much of a prick as he was in his past. I think it's come through pretty obviously that I am a big HBK fan. I think you have to have HBK get the final win. Not that anybody really wants that, but I'm going to get HBK with the final win over Bret. Just adds a little more to it, a little more sting to it.
That makes actually a good exclamation point on that. I think that would be a good way to do it.
Even though I don't like the fact that they still monetize that whole feud, but certainly.
About the only thing that I dislike about it is that they just bring it up every year. Oh, the Montreal Screwjob.
Yeah.
Oh, the Screwjob. And every year, guaranteed, there's going to be at least one tease of a screw job or a fake screw job, or and like, just let it go.
The window was so there, and I think both of us wanted it with Natty. I'm trying to remember what it was a little while back when they were teasing that she would get the screw job.
Well, wasn't it at the 2017 Survivor Series? So the 20-year anniversary of the Montreal Screwjob. I mean, if there was any time to do it, a major anniversary would have been the time to do it.
Yeah.
And,
And with family members.
But they didn't, and, now they should just let it rest. I mean, I wouldn't turn down Bret Hart punching Vince McMahon in the face on camera again, though, but... I don't know if Bret Hart or Vince McMahon could really take it anymore.
Did you see when he did it this year? I know he's done it in the past, but did you see when he did it this year?
No.
Oh, yeah. So the very first ever episode of AEW Dynamite, Brett punched Vince right in the face and kicked him in the nuts and presented the new AEW World Championship.
There was a bit of that, but I don't know. I think Vince McMahon has the ego to think that he's already won this war. So let these boys have their fun. We're gonna crush them in the long run.
Well, there is no war, remember?
Oh no. And if there was a war, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But there's not a war.
There's not a war.
But if it was, it's not over yet. But there's not a war.
But no, not war. What war? What pissant t-shirt company? What are you talking about? I would never say such a thing.
Nope, never would.
Pissant.
Anyways, well, let's just go ahead and move on to case number 3. What do you got for me? I'm going to break in here really quickly to talk about our sponsor. I know you've heard me mention Anchor.fm before. It's by far the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain really quickly. It's free. You don't have to have any experience in advance to do it. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. They're going to distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, many other more, Google Podcasts, pretty much any place you can look for a podcast. And you can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So what are you waiting for? Go download the free Anchor app on the App Store or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Nope. Book for me, Ricochet's turn on Randy Orton.
Ricochet's turn on Randy Orton.
Yep.
Okay.
So because of their little feud right now where Randy Orton's kind of basically telling Ricochet, I can get you anytime I want to. I want you to go after Ricochet, making it very clear, so can I.
Well, that's tough because I'm not entirely certain Ricochet can. And that's not trying to badmouth Ricochet, but there are very few wrestlers right now that have that out of nowhere move that the RKO can be. And that's probably Orton's biggest selling point in this. I can get you anytime. You know, the fact that out of nowhere. I mean, it's turned into a meme on the internet. Out of nowhere. So, but the problem is Ricochet doesn't have one.
No one doesn't really desire to have one, it seems like.
Yeah, doesn't try. I mean, all of his moves are high impact, but they're also high setup, you know? And I'm not saying that, like, his Snap Hurricane Rana takes a lot of setup, but it's not a killer move. And so what you'd really need is for Ricochet to develop one of those moves that literally can kind of come out of nowhere. And that's tough because the out of nowhere moves typically have to be something like a cutter, because almost any of the other moves require too much.
A stunner or...
Yeah, which is just a modified version of a cutter, you know? But that's my point is, and we don't want to give him just another cutter or stunner or, you know, it's got to be something that he can pull out at a moment's notice, but it just can't seem derivative, and that's where it's kind of tough. I'm almost wondering if, God, I feel like it'd have to be something from behind to make it work.
Well, and that's what my thoughts were when I thought of it. This one's multiple days old, obviously, and I just went, well, that can be a backup plan. But I knew what I wanted, and then our call didn't go the way we wanted it to, so that's okay.
You know, I think the so-called poisoned Rana might be the best option for Ricochet. And I use the phrase poisoned Rana because that's what they've started calling it in NXT. But you or I, going back, we would know it as a reverse Hurricane Rana, because that's what they always called it. So, of course, the typical Hurricane Rana is from the front. You jump up, you put your legs around their neck, you swing backwards, and you flip them over. And the old one, you kept their head between your legs, and it really was kind of like a spike pile driver sort of a thing, right? It's turned into more of a flippy move where they kind of jump forward and flip and end up taking a back bump out of it. Well, the poisoned Rana, or the reverse Rana, is doing that from the back, right? So the opponent's facing away from you. You jump up, you put your legs on their shoulders, you flip backwards. At that point, they have to do, instead of kind of a front flip like they normally do, a back flip, and it really can look like a spike pile driver from that standpoint. So I think that could be the move that Ricochet can pull out at any moment, especially when Randy Orton's setting up for an RKO. He goes for the RKO, and instead Ricochet pushes him away, and then it has to be sudden, a snap, poisoned Rana, spiking Ricochet, or spiking Randy Orton, and putting him away. It's tough, though. I mean, it is a really tough thing because, Ricochet is super athletic and can do pretty much anything, and I have no doubt that he could do this move, but he just hasn't shown us this. It's not a move that he's pulled out on a regular basis. Oddly enough, Kenny Omega does pull it out on a regular basis, but does not use it as a surprise finisher.
This doesn't have to be a finisher, obviously. It just has to be enough to, I'm sick of your crap, to Randy Orton,
It doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, the thing is, it's got to be enough to incapacitate Randy Orton, enough that Randy Orton feels like, it's not worth my time anymore. And so I think, we've seen Randy Orton go against Ali, and Hurricane Ranas didn't stop him and all that stuff. So it's got to be something, and that's why I say the poisoned Rana ending up like a spike pile driver can be enough, I think, to be a pseudo finisher. Maybe not one that he uses as a regular finisher, but one that he uses to counter a potential RKO, and it's enough that he can get a win out of the match. And he does that enough times to Randy Orton, and does it even at times when he's not in a match with Randy Orton. Randy Orton comes in, tries to hit RKO out of nowhere, and instead gets Spike Pile Drive or Spike Rana out of it. I think that's probably the way you'd have to do it. I'm just not 100% happy with that because, I just don't feel like Ricochet can do it out of nowhere enough,
I feel like I almost gave you some Rousseau Challenge-esque ones tonight based on how you feel about them.
Oh, well, if you want to talk a Rousseau Challenge, you'll just wait till my next challenge.
Oh Lord. Well, I brought that up because I think it's the only logical direction to go with Ricochet right now. I don't know if you watched any of his Impact stuff back in the day. I know obviously you re-emerged as a fan and now you watch Impact now, but I watched him back when he was a heel. And the guy can play heel well. Mm-hmm. And I would love to see, in fact, I'd love to see at Survivor Series, one of these teams needs to, especially NXT, in particular the NXT women in the traditional Survivor Series match, needs to have some type of infighting. Otherwise, it's just, we just washed our hands of all the hatred that we had before. The only even remote story towards that was on Monday night. And again, I suggested that I was not a huge fan of Monday night this week, but Becky says, for some reason I'm tethered to this woman for all of eternity with Charlotte. And then on the inverse of that, we had the Randy Orton kind of going, "Hey, listen, just remember I can get you anytime I want to," and kind of threatening him, Ricochet. And I just think we need a good old-fashioned, not so garbage of a turn, just a good guy turning bad that is all the way good, that is 100% over with the fans. It just seems like every time we get a turn, there's some type of development into it. And I want an Owen turning on Brett turn at some point.
Yeah. Well, no, and I agree with you. I don't think Ricochet turning on Randy Orton is the turn that we want. I think Ricochet turning on the team maybe is a turn because like I don't know about his impact.
Well, he can turn on the team by attacking Randy Orton. That's my thoughts.
I think he turns on the team by attacking the rest of the team, just in general. But I actually don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think he is way too over as a face right now to do that.
Well, that's the best time to turn someone heel, but I have a feeling that there is going to be a turn from a Raw superstar. It is not going to be Ricochet.
Oh, I just want to hear the prediction on that, unless it's part of yours.
We'll just go into it. I was gonna save most of the predictions for the WBU later this week, but we'll talk about it now, and then we'll talk about it more later. But I suspicion that Kevin Owens is gonna turn on Team Raw, and I suspicion it's gonna lead to Kevin Owens being the next main roster star going back down to NXT. And my suspicion is based off of the whole overture from Raw where Triple H was trying to get Kevin Owens to come down to NXT, come back to NXT. And it just, to me, was set up too much like, this is going to be Kevin Owens proving that he's a Raw guy altogether. And then you had, of course, the NXT superstars at ringside not attacking Kevin Owens. But then the rest of the Raw superstars came out and attacked them. And then Kevin Owens got jumped by the Undisputed Era. And Triple H was talking to the Undisputed Era afterward, during it. And you could tell he was frustrated with them attacking Kevin Owens. And I suspicion he is going to be a turncoat, come down to NXT, but be set up as one of the next foils for the Undisputed Era. That he's going to turn on Raw to come to NXT, but he's doing that so that he can get his hands on the Undisputed Era, which then sets up some phenomenal matches because you've got Kevin Owens versus Adam Cole. You've got potential Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor matches down the road. Once he's reclaimed Goldie, Kevin Owens versus Tommaso Ciampa.
You just said some guy's name, Adam who?
Adam Cole, baby. Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I forgot the full name. I was just giving his shortened name. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Yeah. I just didn't know who you were talking about.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
The confusion was all based on me, and I apologize. But so that's my theory on that. I just, like, the entire time I was watching that segment, I was like, this seems setting up too much for the opposite, and anytime they set up one way, I expect them to go another way. So this pay-per-view doesn't work. The one against the other doesn't work anymore when there's separate networks to keep happy. Well, It doesn't work for that standpoint. The biggest reason it doesn't work is because, and we've talked about this before, it's like they always forget about it until 30 days before Survivor Series, and then suddenly they're like, oh, we need to set up this brand rivalry. It would work just fine if you started these storylines in July,
Yeah, just little bits.
All you need to do is have someone on Raw talk about how their brand is better than the other ones. This is where the big boys play or whatever, right? And then you don't make a big deal about it. They just drop that kind of snide hit. And then later, a month later or a couple weeks later, SmackDown can bring it up saying, hey, I know they think the big boys play on Raw, but this is where the real athletes go. And then you can have NXT slowly, talk about how they're the underdogs and no one ever thinks about them. But you just setting it up months in advance means when it comes around to Survivor Series, it's not this sudden, hey, we're, fighting on behalf of our team because we're friends now. I don't know. We've talked about it before.
Yes, I know we have. And that's legit. I mean, in no way, shape, or form does it work the way they're doing it. It just doesn't. It just... I would prefer they went back to the traditional Survivor Series match where it was just grudges of groups of people, that made sense, or even how they've done war games the last few years. Undisputed Era has been in it'll be now 3 straight war games matches. That's okay, because every other time that they have a opposing faction, it's a faction. It's not a faction. It's just people who are annoyed with being attacked by Mr. Bebe and his cronies.
Yep.
I think I want to call him that from now on, Mr. Bebe.
But then we will move on to my final case now.
Let's do it.
So, now this is not a Rousseau challenge, but it is very similar to a Rousseau challenge.
Okay.
So, we all know that celebrities are the backbone of professional.
USOB.
So, I need you to book 2 non-wrestler debuts and first A-level program.
Oh my gosh. Like for Survivor Series, or?
Nope. I mean, it can be at any time of the year. It can be for any reason.
You've had this for weeks. You've had this in your pocket for weeks.
It's been something that's been on the plate, but for at least a few weeks, we've had a third member here, and so I've been reduced to only 1 case each week. So
I really think you did this as a preemptive strike to knowing full well next week something's coming with a pumpkin pie or
very, very likely will be, and so
pumpkin pie on a pole match.
Yeah, that is a Rousseau Challenger.
Okay. Celebrities, modern current celebrities who probably haven't done this so far, right?
Yes, correct. I mean, in fairness, you could choose someone who's had an appearance or 2, but they cannot be someone who is currently a professional wrestler in any shape or form.
Okay. I am going to go 1 actor and 1 athlete.
Okay.
For the athlete, I am going to choose Carmelo Anthony.
Interesting.
Melo is struggling to find his place in the NBA right now. And I could legitimately see him going, oh man, that really revitalized Shaq's and Karl Malone's and Dennis Rodman's career, and just absolutely looking ridiculous going through it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Carmelo Anthony, and his booking would be as a pal with, equally arrogant, a heel Miz.
Okay.
Us A-listers got to stick together type thing.
Interesting you put the athlete with Miz, not the actor, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, because Melo has the arrogance to go with that. So yeah, that's where I'm going with that. And I don't know, there's a tag match somewhere along the line where Melo doesn't have to take much of a bump. Dolph Ziggler's probably in it because he can make anybody look good. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do Dolph Ziggler and glorious Bobby Roode are having a feud with The Miz, and the A-listers come together. Yeah, Melo's the guy. I would much rather see Melo be a heel than those two, but I guess you can slowly but surely turn Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler back face. You have to, when you have matches like that, we saw a lot of guys who made the other guys look not as good and guys who made the other guys look great. I truly believed that Dennis Rodman could deliver some moves when he was going up against, DDP. When Hogan was, when Karl Malone was delivering a diamond cutter to Hogan or any of his cronies, it didn't look good because Hogan doesn't take bumps well. So that's why I think you have to have a Dolph Ziggler level guy being there against Melo. So that's my first one. The athlete is Mello and partnering up with the Miz. The actor, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go here. And I know you're gonna be like, it's been done, but it hasn't. In 2024 or 2020, depending on how the elections go, Donald Trump will be buying the WWE, and we'll get our geriatric match that we should have gotten when it was Samoa Joe or when it was Umaga and Bobby Lashley. Are you there?
Yeah. So you're counting Donald Trump as an actor?
Well, I mean, he was on a reality TV show.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to go with like Snooki. She was on one. I mean, I don't. There's better there. Hold on. There's better there.
Well, no,
Seen the Donald.
Yeah. My confusion was just like, I wouldn't have necessarily called Donald an actor, even though he's been on reality shows. The key word there is reality. You know, you would say he's a reality TV show.
I really think, in terms of an athlete right now, I don't think there's any more annoying person that'd be better than Mello, though. I really don't.
Mello's very polarizing, so he definitely would get some.
And it's basketball season. I guess if we rolled it back 3 months, I might think somebody in football, or 5 months it'd be somebody in baseball. But right now, basketball season is just kicking off, and God, there's a ton of talk about Mello. Okay, so we're doing Mello on athlete. On actor, I'm trying to think of like a really over actor that isn't The Rock. My first initial thought was Seth Green, but he's actually already done some stuff in the ring, so I couldn't go that route.
You could go that because he hasn't. Yes, he's done a few things in the ring, but he hasn't even done David Arquette level. So I wouldn't consider him ever having been a professional wrestler. I mean, that's why I was hinting at Rob Gronkowski. He technically has done a few things in the ring, but he's never been a professional wrestler. So
but Gronk would be a legit wrestler too.
He could legitimately be a wrestler.
And I'm trying. I mean, yeah, he's built the right way and everything. This is LT level. So I wanted to go with more of the Dennis Rodman Shaq era than the LT versus Bam Bam Bigelow era. Trying to think of big movies that have multiple series right now. We could do.
Maybe you should be thinking in the same family as The Rock.
What?
That was my very, very poorly done Vin Diesel impersonation. I don't have a good enough voice to do it.
Oh yeah, I'm out on that. No, I don't want to see Vin Diesel in wrestling. I don't. I really don't.
I think it would be a good exclamation point to his feud with The Rock, though. Say, you come into my world and try to take over. I'm going to come into your world.
It would be entertaining. However, The Rock doesn't really wrestle anymore. So.
Well, you could argue that Vin Diesel doesn't really act anymore, but that's for another podcast, I
think. That one could be one on one of Justin's Real Talk Radio podcast. Absolutely. I'm so proud of you for that right now. We're gonna do Joaquin Phoenix.
Ooh, someone who would throw himself in the role.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go with Joaquin Phoenix. I'm gonna go with Joaquin Phoenix to promote some movie he does. Now I kind of want to do Gary Busey. Nope, I'm going to stick with Joaquin Phoenix just because, man, the dude plays crazy better than anybody else. And I want him to just be, no, I'm legitimately a wrestler. Like, trying to get into his matches. And everybody's like, dude, you don't know how to do this. And him just be, crazy. Have you seen The Joker yet?
Have not.
For everything that was Commodus in that he was to Commodus in Gladiator, he does to the Joker. It's that good.
I will likely have to wait to watch the Joker until it comes on legal and illegal streams.
legal streams.
Legal streams.
Yes. So, Joaquin. I'm gonna do Joaquin Phoenix. I don't even think he needs to promote a movie. I just think for entertainment purposes, just to show his exceptional acting prowess just comes in and suddenly decides he's a pro wrestler, and acts like a lunatic who's decided he's a pro wrestler named Joaquin Phoenix. And I think it would be more gold than anything we've done in ages with celebrities. Like, I don't know how his wrestling will be, but his crazy will be phenomenal. And ramped up and perfect. So, yeah, I think that actually sounds more entertaining than the Melo thing. I just think Melo's more likely to happen.
True.
Other than LeBron, can you think of anybody else that's as LeBron and Tom Brady? You're not going to see LeBron do it. You're not going to see Tom Brady do it. Who else is as polarizing? But those two are polarizing because they're really good, not because they're asshats.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Tiger, but he's polarizing not because he was good, but because he cheated on his wife.
I mean, I don't legitimately follow NBA well enough to know too much on that. I can say there are some professional football players that I would love to see give a try at professional wrestling, especially as their careers. Because here's the deal: professional football career typically is a lot shorter than a basketball, right? Yeah. I mean, we've been talking about Melo being a total asshat for 10 years now, you know, more than that.
True.
And so, but like, I just think as much as I love him on my favorite team, he's had quite a
JJ Watt.
JJ Watt in the ring.
I knew that was coming.
Would be an absolute beast.
And he's well liked enough and has enough charisma. I think you could do a Ronda push with him, and fans would follow it.
Yeah,
would go with it. I think part of the problem with the Ronda push that we talked about earlier tonight was flat out the woman was pushed to be a character that she isn't as a person.
Yeah,
like she's a bitch. She's an arrogant fighting bitch, and she's earned the right to be that arrogant fighting bitch. But she's still a bitch. Like that. Well, you let Brock Lesnar be who he really is in real life. Why didn't you let Ronda be who she really was in real life?
Agreed.
So I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
But I mean, in the end, there are so many. Like, what I would love is if you got Joaquin Phoenix in, and then they got Russell Crowe to come in and do a run in.
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, how golden would that be?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'd love it. I would love it. And leave Joaquin in his either Johnny Cash type mode, like have it be confusing for anybody who doesn't know that they did the movie. I mean, there's people that know everybody should know that they did the movie together, but don't have him dress as Gladiator and Commodus Emperor. Just have them be whatever they are.
Yep.
That would be awesome.
It especially helped with Russell Crowe's reputation for fighting around the world.
Yeah. And I don't think you have to have any particular special personality. That's part of the reason I like Joaquin is I don't think you have to have a special personality kind of carry him into the ring like you do with most athletes. I think you just send him on into the ring.
Well, good enough. I think you fulfilled all of the parameters that I set out for that.
Mine were garbage compared to yours with that last one. That last one kind of, I don't know. That was a pretty good one, I have to admit.
Yeah. I changed it. Originally, I was going to have you do 3 non-wrestlers, but I thought, that's a little harsh. Let's just make it 2.
You know how long I would have had to think on the third one?
Yeah, I'm glad I meant that. But so
I would have gone political figure though, and I guess I did theoretically do 3 because I'd have gone Lindsey Graham from South Carolina.
And I would have paid money to see him get beat. But we're not going to get political here.
No.
Nullify, vilify, or deify.
We are
No,
instead going to move on to our most recent segment, our newest segment, Nullify, Vilify, or Deify. That's right, it's our shameless copy of Fire Push Mary. The rules are simple. I'm going to give you 3 names. You must nullify someone out of wrestling entirely, vilify them to the bottom of the card, and deify one, just like Roman Reigns, straight to the top. And then you will give me 3 names, and I will do the same. So, D.A. Fabe, we're going to start off. Your choices are, and you're going to love me for this. And by love, I mean hate. Because you're gonna fight with yourself as to which one to deify. I just know it. Your choices are Brie Bella, Nikki Bella, and Eva Marie.
Which one's married to Daniel Bryan?
Brie.
I'm gonna nullify Nikki out of wrestling, and this means off total Bellas and everything forever. She broke John Cena's heart, or John Cena broke her heart, or whatever happened there.
Hearts have been broken.
Hearts, yeah, somewhere a heart broke. And I guess I'll put the title on Brie because I don't want to see it on. Can we just do FMK for this?
No.
I can do this in FMK.
Well, no, that's a whole lot easier with 3 hot women.
Okay. So I nullify Nikki. God, I don't want to see Marie ever get pushed. Ever. I mean, here's the deal. The other 2 have already been pushed. Let's balance out the garbage with garbage. But the women's division's actually good now. So I guess I'm gonna push Brie. She's gonna get deified, and Eva Marie is gonna be vilified to the bottom of the card, because that way she can take some beatings. Yeah, I like that. That's a good reason to put her as the vilify.
Okay, good
I
enough.
just don't ever want to hear from Nikki Bella really ever again after the sob stories.
Yeah.
Unless she's saying, "Hey, can I come in?
Yeah.
I need a nice warm place to cuddle with a larger man." In which case, hey, Nikki.
Now, in fairness, I probably would have done pretty much the same. Nikki always bugged the crap out of me.
Yeah, well, and hold on. I wasn't done with my hey, Nikki. Hey, Nikki. I play an attorney on a podcast.
That's super impressive. Those credentials are hard to come by.
I know. I might be the only one in the world that plays an attorney on a wrestling podcast.
Potentially. Only one I know of.
All right. So I have to do the same to you, and I'm on the spot because I didn't know I was doing this, so you got lucky. Can I use non-wrestlers? Just your life in general? You can get rid of things you're a fan of? It is a wrestling podcast. All right. Fine. We'll do this. Natty, Alicia Fox, and what the hell's her name? Southern Belle.
Lacey Evans.
Lacey Evans. Yeah. If you can do it, so can I, jerk.
So, I am probably going to surprise you, and I am going to nullify Alicia Fox. For lots of reasons, but she's never been particular. I mean, I've said a lot of things about Natalya, but I've always prefaced them with the fact that she is a very, very talented wrestler.
Yeah.
And Alicia Fox does not get that preface. So Alicia Fox gets nullified. And
yours were better, but you had time to think about it.
I did, but I'm just, I
want Justin to answer that later this week.
Yeah. So I will, like I said, nullify Alicia Fox. I will vilify. This is going to be the surprising one, I think. I will vilify Lacey Evans. And I will vilify Natalya.
Natty's been there, though.
I agree. But so has Lacey. And we both agree that Lacey is not ready for it.
Oh. She's done a lot of growth this year.
She's done a lot of growth, but not enough for me. So she goes to the bottom of the card. And as much as I normally wouldn't necessarily say it, Natty goes to the top.
I'm astonished. The woman who can't cut a promo and is quite possibly the most diva of all the divas on Total Divas And you just pushed her to the top. That's impressive.
You got to make tough choices sometimes, man.
Actually, she's probably the second most diva. Of all
Plus,
the divas.
plus, I have a
I
whole
would say
plea bargain
Maya's the most diva.
agreement with her, so I gotta honor part of that too.
True. But vilifying her would have still allowed her to be a talent, teach people,
Yeah.
which is what she is right now.
And on that note, I think we will wrap things up tonight. As always, I invite people to go on to the Twitter machines and search for me at Raw and or. You can always follow DA Fabe at
Vincent K or DA Vincent K Fabe.
Awesome. I always tell people, like, share, subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you use, Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Click that little subscribe button to make sure you get the latest and greatest episode all the time, and share it with your friends. We also have started posting these on YouTube. So you can find us on YouTube, and you can give us a big old thumbs up there and a subscribe there. That definitely helps us out. And leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you use, because that helps us out. So those are all great ways to help us out that take basically 0 minutes of time out of your day. Also, you can leave a review and say 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, because they really heavily weigh their algorithm based on 5-star reviews. So even if you don't actually use Apple Podcasts to listen to us, you can hop on there and give us a 5-star review, just like Meltzer would if he knew who the hell we were. And then I always bring up Anchor.fm, which is our hosting platform. You can go there, Anchor.fm/Raw and Order WBU. You can click a little button there that says support. It's kind of like Patreon, except not Patreon. Throw us a couple bucks every month. That can help us upgrade our podcast equipment, upgrade our time, upgrade all sorts of stuff, our editing capabilities, make this a better podcast for everyone out there. So, with that,
that's barring getting rid of me, right?
Sure.
To make it a better podcast.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and say yes to that. Right now,
I will come back and attack you, much like El Ficador did.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, you'll never see it coming.
But on that note, we will end this podcast. We will wrap it for the day. Case closed.